friends, but you can't choose your family.
This is true. Unless you adopt. Oh, careful!
They go, oh, Orlando, who's that freak over there that we didn't notice? I'm going, it's Johnny Depp, right? You know, Johnny Depp. Oh, Johnny. Well, they're going, oh, sorry, I'm...
You've embarrassed yourself. Artek's in. It was guttering just now. Suddenly he's what else have you got going on? I'm appalled. I'm scandalised. I can't believe I'm just going mad. No, that's what I was going to say, actually. No, the weird thing is, the more they slag you off, the more the ratings go through the roof. It doesn't make sense, do you know what I mean? And I was thinking, oh, I bet those people who are doing really, really good stuff must be just hurting inside that they don't know what they're talking about.
You lost it early on. You went off-road and you really couldn't get back onto the freeway.
And what I'd like to know is a bit about so you've talked about how COVID affected you, but I think for people watching, so other coaches and business owners, what piece of advice would you give them?
Around moving coaching online, for instance, is that what you were meaning?
Well, I know that's a big part of your business, but any other impacts?
I think one of the biggest things, if we're going to stick to coaching just for now, is a lot of people, and I'm still hearing it, you know, coaching conversations aren't the same online, and all of those types of limiting beliefs that we kind of hear a lot around, you know, what you can and can't do. And it's like anything, isn't it? If you put your mind to something, if you make something interactive, if you think a little bit out of the box, and I hate that cliche word, but you know what I mean. Use creativity, and a lot of people aren't doing it. They think just because they can't physically sit in a room with somebody that they can't have an effective conversation. Well, I'm going to challenge, why not? I've been running my coaching course now really effectively online since last March, and some of the businesses, some of the very large corporates that we've got going through it at the moment, don't want to go to face-to-face. I've given them that option and choice, and they see the benefit of how actually it's changed and transitioned, not only how they deliver training, but also how they have things like one-to-ones, performance conversations, etc., and those touch points with individuals within the business. So for me, it's really around being creative and just stepping up a little bit. Don't just get onto a call and just expect the cameras on to have a conversation. Why don't you make it interactive for the individual? Why not pose your coaching questions within, I don't mean as in a structured format, as I know exactly what I'm going to ask, because that couldn't be further away from coaching. But nonetheless, structure it. You know, use Jamboard, use the whiteboards, especially if you're using things like Zoom. I work with an organisation called Resilient Pilot. And one of the mentoring sessions that we do in there is using Stephen Covey's Circle of Influence and Circle of Concern. Now that is a structured conversation to last maybe half an hour, 3/4 of an hour. There's a few planned questions in there around, you know, what is in your, you know, what are you concerned about at the moment? They write all of that down using the annotation tools. But quite cleverly, you can leave the text on the slide, for instance, when you progress the slide on in Zoom. Well, why not utilise that little glitch in Zoom? So then you've got that, that opportunity of where you start to explore actually the elements that you can influence. You can get them to score out the ones that they're concerned about but have no influence or control over.
And people loved it.
So one of the things that you sort of, it was almost a throwaway statement, was you said, I know how to fill events. Now that is the thing that no one else knows how to do. So people have these ideas but don't have the traction. So Mark, when we spoke, I don't know my phone is. When we spoke, I said to you, I haven't got a smartphone. This is my phone, everybody, and yeah. So I'm about as far away from a WhatsApp group as possible. But you talked about actually engaging, which is an extension of what Victoria is saying about relationships. So tell me, from these groups you run, what kind of percentage of people are like us? You're muted, by the way, which I'm sure everyone in your life would say is a good thing.
Okay. Yeah, I also pointed out to you that I admire the fact in some ways that you've got a dumb phone. And I also pointed out that paradoxically, the smartphones are killing off the communications that matter the most, and that's human ones. You only have to look in a restaurant or on a train, a bus. Everyone's just constantly glued to their smartphones. And I'm one of those guys that loves striking up conversations with strangers, but it's quite difficult to do that when they're staring into their smartphone. So there's an enormous paradox with these smartphones. They are fantastic communication devices, but they're killing off human communications.
So what sort of percentage of these groups, because I tell you for why, I'll give you some context to the question. Until I found out about how my brain worked, I didn't know that it was different from other people. And I read about it in a few books. And I went, oh, that's me, that's me. And I only knew that because I wrote my own book. So I'd written down what was happening in my head, and then I read it in someone else's book a few years later. I think, and this is the discussion point for you, Mark, first, that maybe 90% of people, 9 out of every 10 people, will complain about an issue and a year later still be complaining about the same thing, whereas only a very small number of people actually put in place the things they need to do to move forward. So Victoria's example, yeah, let's do it, and then, oh yeah, we're doing it. Okay, let's go for it. I'm doing a thing I've never done before. Love it. Just throw yourself in. There is a bravery that comes from struggle, maybe.
Totally.
So how active are people in your groups?
I'd say the 80-20 rule applies. 20% of the people are generating 80% of the activity. Right. A lot of the groups have got lurkers in them. That's perfectly normal. Lurkers. Lurker is internet slang for someone who's part of an internet community but doesn't take part.
Right.
In my performing arts group, I had one of Las Vegas' top producers who's produced several top shows, but he never said anything. So waste of space. I got rid of him. There's no point in being part of an internet community and never contributing. You're just taking up valuable space. So I'm actually in the process at the moment of going through my network one by one. It's a great opportunity just to catch up with people. And thanks to Victoria, I'm just asking the question, do you find value in my groups? And then taking the conversation on from there.
And will you purge if the response is no?
Unless they really are a superstar, I'll kick them out.
Yeah. So, Gabrielle, in your experience, so I say 9 out of 10. Is that at all true for you, or am I speaking out of sorts?